Hello, and welcome to the third installment of Modular Y. Check the link for the second installment where I show you how I made the modular sound that I'm using in this project. So the idea was to create a modular sound, which I did in the second installment, and in this third installment I'm going to show you how I incorporate it in a pretty much fully fledged project. First things first, let me play you the original sample. So here's the original sample. And I recorded a 4-bar loop straight from the modular. So what I changed was the tuning. It was slightly detuned, so I just increased it by 1 semitone, the tuning, transposed it by 1 semitone. And then what I did is I copied the clip 4 times, and then I altered that tuning. So for example here, 4 semitones right here, then in the third one -1 semitone from the original, and then the fourth one 6 semitones. So I believe that the original sample was closer to a C sharp. Another thing to keep in mind is that I warped the clip. I used the Complex Pro warping algorithm, and because this is a pretty complex sound, this is not a single note, this is not a single tone, there's a combination of things happening. So that's why I went with the Complex Pro. I tried a couple of the other options, but decided to go with Complex Pro. Because it kept the sound quite crisp throughout the different pitches. The original tempo was closer to 115 as shown here, but the project tempo is 128 as shown there. So that's how I started, and then I thought that I would need some rhythm, so I added a drum rack, 606 style drum rack, and then some melody. On top of that, where I used I used the operator synth. So let me go and show you the different sounds and how I added effects down here for each of them. So first up, let's listen again to the modular sound. I added a compressor, which I sidechained to the 606. I grabbed the post mixer sort of feed, or channel, the post mixer channel for the kick drum. So to create a ducking effect. So let me bring in the beat, and then you'll see what that sounds like. So my feeling is that you'll see that here, there we go, as the kick comes in, it pushes down the volume of the Euro rack. So in addition to that, I added a saturator to add just a little bit of warmth and just increase the gain, and then a dynamic tube emulation which again adds more warmth, brings in some extra harmonics. So let me turn them off and you'll see what it sounds like. And here you hear the ducking effect as I solo the track. This is the reason why I picked the post mixer, because it means that it ignores whether I solo or don't solo a track, so I kind of like that. Alright, so here we go. Brings in a lot of presence. To my ears, also increases the bottom end. And then that just adds a little bit of sort of vintage flavor on top. A little bit grittier. Alright, so let's unsolo all of this. There we go. The drum pattern is pretty simple. The 606, what I did was I did make some changes. I pitched the basic kick drum a little bit. I pitched down the snare drum. And then I believe I also panned over here. If I go to the hi-hats, yep. I panned the hi-hat, the closed hi-hat and the open hi-hat, moved them left. The snare I moved right a little bit. I kind of tried to visualize a drum kit in front of me, and that's how I went about that. At the end I added a glue compressor, just to add some more vintage flavor. I really like this. This is a great addition to version 9 from version 8. So now you're hearing the vibrato lead. I actually, this is the preset name, but I changed this somewhat significantly. I added a third operator, which I put to number 5 in terms of coarse pitch. I changed the envelopes of the different operators, the filter as well. And instead of, and I think I definitely played around with all of the different operator sort of alignments and algorithms that are possible. One thing that I've forgotten to mention about the drum kits is that I did put a send on it where I used the circular reverb preset, which is part of the Dub Machines Max for Live pack Dub Machines made this pack that has two devices, one called Diffuse and the other one called Magnetic. Magnetic is an emulation of tape delays, and Diffuse, I believe, is an emulation of maybe early digital reverbs, but kind of messed up and somewhere in the middle. And I quite like the sound of it, actually. Definitely very musical. So let me show you without. Kind of this is where it was at, really adding a lot of ambience. So I'll bring in the other elements. So the modular sample that started it all again. So you're hearing a vocoder here on this track. Let me show you how I set that up. First up, I grabbed this soft horns brass preset, except I completely removed the filter, and pretty late I actually ended up changing the waveform of the oscillator 1 to a square wave. Pretty simple patch, but it sounds quite nice. I like it. You have some vibrato. That was part of the original soft horn sound, yeah, so I really like it. And then all of the other sort of effects are still in there. So the reason why that's here and that's muted, as you'll see, is because this feeds the vocoder that's on the next track, that's over here. So let me turn this down again. I'm gonna remove the soloing, and now I'll solo this track. Okay. So the way that this works is that the vocoder device takes audio from the soft horns brass, post effects, so that it doesn't get affected by the level of the mixer being turned up or down. And here I have some vocals recorded, and slightly time warped here, time stretched, time warped, slightly warped. I tweaked a little bit the different sort of levels of the different frequency bands. I set it to 16 bands, which I think is a good compromise between the robotic quality and legibility, basically, or comprehension. There are two models, retro and precise. Well, with retro, I also added this 12-bit bit reduction plugin that comes with Ableton called Redux. That's really useful, and basically it adds a little bit of high-end sizzle. Let me turn it off. So you hear that, and then I turn it back on. adds a little bit of sizzle. The warm tube, dynamic tube emulation, and then I grabbed the EQ8, set it to oversampling, which you can do by right-clicking or control-clicking. And oversampling is helpful. While it does add more processing load, it does handle higher frequencies better and more accurately in terms of how it attenuates or amplifies them. And I just rolled off the high frequencies because the vocoder originally was pretty harsh, as you can hear here. So that's what I did. And then altogether, I also added some of that diffuse device through the sends, just to glue everything together in terms of the acoustic space, imagined acoustic space that I created for the track. So, there you go. That's how I incorporated the sample from the modular and used that as a starting point for a kind of vocodery synthpop track. If you would like me to continue and see if I can finish the track, let me know in the comments and I'll see what I can do. Because I'm pretty happy with how it started off. I wasn't planning on working on a song like this, but if there's enough interest, I would definitely keep at it and share the results. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.